Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the God Squad pod. I am your host, Dylan Neighbor Cruz, the tattooed theologian. And who is that I see? Grab the robes, get the ring, butcher the fatted calf. We're going to make some Wonder Bread up in here with the two whitest men in America tonight.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Mr. Keith Giles.
Yes, the prodigal has returned. So glad to be back. Sadly, however, my being here means that December is not. That's why I'm here, covering for her while she's out this week. But very glad to do so. I've missed being on the show with you, Dylan, and had a lot of fun last night with you and John Fugelsang. So yeah, it's kind of fun to jump back in the saddle again. Looking forward to this episode.
Right on. Yeah. Well, we're happy to have you back, Keith, and he's pinch hitting for December, who couldn't be here tonight, so he's stepping into the Rusty Staub / Manny Motor role. Yeah, and he's going to be pinch hitting tonight.
Yes.
And we're just going to jump right into some news you can use as Trump 2.0 continues to bumpily roll down the street.
Yeah.
Today, my governor, Josh Shapiro, sued multiple agencies that are being directed by Trump, including the Office of Management and Budget, which is headed by that guy, Russell Vogt, who was the representative of fundamentalist fuckwittery a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. He's a rabid Christian nationalist and dictator enthusiast, and he's in charge of the OMB.
And co-author of Project 2025, right?
Yeah, author of Chapter 2 of Project 2025. And he thinks that, despite all evidence to the contrary, that the president is supposed to have dictatorial powers. So Josh
the president thinks so too, actually.
Yeah. So I'm thankful for my governor.
Yeah. And I would trade you, by the way. I would trade you any day.
Oh my God!
Abbott, and he is, even though he himself is in a wheelchair and is benefits from all of the wonderful DEI policies that are going on around the nation and in his own state of Texas, last week signed a law or whatever saying now that they're going to get rid of all DEI in all federal buildings. Like, dude, that ramp from the parking lot to your office is there because of DEI. It's the only way you can even get to your office right now because you're in a wheelchair. But no, we're done with that in Texas, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw this, Keith, but Representative Robert Garcia, during a subcommittee meeting for the oversight of DOJ, the phony Musk thing that they're doing, Marjorie Taylor Greene apparently heads that committee.
Oh, yeah.
And because she showed pictures of Hunter Biden's genitals during a committee meeting, he said, well, since our committee chairwoman showed a dick pic, I'm going to do it now too. And then he just put up a big picture of Elon Musk. And then when a reporter said, do you think it's helpful to call Elon Musk a dick? Representative Garcia said, well, he is a dick. And then he went on to say who is engaging in a unconstitutional, illegal actions, and we're fighting for our democracy. But one of the things that you do to fascists is you lampoon them, and that is brilliant.
That was great. That was beautiful. Yeah, that's about all we can do so far is just kind of keep the heat on them, keep calling out the bullshit, and call it what it is. When you see them doing this kind of stuff, like, don't let them get away with it.
Right. Yeah. I'm really disappointed in John Fetterman, the senator.
Oh my gosh.
Senators. He said today that I saw on the Hill that there's no constitutional crisis.
I saw that.
Like, what do you call it when an unelected multi-billionaire is calling the shots?
Yes, and overseeing things that are directly related to billions of dollars that his business, the businesses that he owns, are benefiting from, and he's in there deciding what goes where and what gets canceled or not. Like, how could that not be a conflict of interest? How could an unelected official who is not an American citizen, he's not from America, like, why does he have this ability and this power? And again, no one's really overseeing anything he's doing. That stupid press conference that he did in the Oval Office, someone called him on that, and he's just like, oh, well, I'm sure if people see something that goes wrong, they'll call me on it. Yeah, but if they call you on it, what good will that do? You're not going to do anything.
Right.
There's still no oversight.
Yeah, there's no oversight. And he was wearing a MAGA hat, which is a violation of the Hatch Act,
Oh
which,
yeah.
I guess the party of law and order, so called, just doesn't care about the actual laws that are on the
No,
books.
no, they don't.
But you had something that you wanted specifically to talk about,
Oh
Keith.
yeah. This is something that happened. Came across this. It may have happened last week, but I just found out about it over this past weekend. So I think we have this producer I sent you. It's a screenshot. Now, last week, Wendy and I have been involved with the local chapter in El Paso, Texas, of Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. A few months ago, they hosted an event at the Alamo Drafthouse movie theaters. I was part of a panel discussion there. We showed a documentary called Bad Faith, and that was my first engagement with the group. Since then, I've gotten to know the founder here in El Paso and gone to a couple of their meetings, and we decided to join them. So now that I'm officially a member, I get these email updates from them, kind of keeping up with what's going on. And I got the first email I got from them, I think it was on Saturday or Sunday, was this right here. This is actually a screenshot of the email they sent to me. Filed this morning in the Texas Senate, SB 10 would require Texas public schools to display the 10 Commandments in classrooms, and SB 11 would allow students with parental consent to opt into a, quote, period of prayer and the reading of the Bible or other religious texts. Notice they only mentioned the Bible and then other religious texts, in the quote. But again, specifically calling out the Bible, which should be a violation of, the separation of church and state, because they could have worded it, a period of prayer with parental consent and reading of religious literature or studying religious, history or something like that. But no, it's specifically the Bible. So yes, the insanity that's been hitting Louisiana and Kentucky and Oklahoma. Here it comes to Texas. I'm actually surprised it took this long. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm going to go ahead and guess that this is probably going to pass because I imagine that pretty much everybody in Texas is going to vote for this thing. I mean, people like James Tellerico probably not,
Right.
but there's not enough of them, I think, to shut it down. Anyway, yeah, just nonsense. Here it comes, and it's listen. If it hasn't come to your state, they might try it in your state as well. Unless you're a really strong blue state, then I don't think it'd get any traction. But yeah, this kind of nonsense is coming, and it's sort of like this whole thing about let's get the 10 Commandments in schools. Yeah, because it's worked so well in other states, right? I mean, we can go look at other states, and man, since they put up those 10 Commandments, it's been so great, right? There's been test scores have gone up, and violence has gone down. No more school shootings. Like, no, that's not the case. Like putting those things up are a giant waste of time. It's really a violation of the Establishment Clause. The government has no business. The state has no business favoring one religion at all. Not just any religion, but certainly not one religion over all the others.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I think I saw, what was this, in Oklahoma maybe? Or maybe it was in Kansas. This woman, she's a doctor, and she was arguing against this kind of thing where they want to do. I think it was that they wanted to have religious ministers, Christian pastors, right, come and lead devotionals or something like that. And
In
so she was there,
schools?
yeah, in schools, and she was there
Oh,
speaking against it as a member of the Church of Satan. And she said, because if this passes and my daughter, who goes to this elementary school in this district that wants to do this, if they pass this, I promise you, I will have somebody from the Church of Satan come and teach your children about what we believe. So hopefully this kind of stuff makes them wake up and say, this is a bad idea. This is really stupid.
yeah. I mean, remind me, did Texas fix its electrical grid problems?
No, I don't
Or
think they did.
did they come up with any plan for helping students to be well fed and well educated or anything like that?
No.
I don't know where Texas ranks in education, but I can't imagine it's super
It's
high.
probably not high on the list. I don't think so. I don't think any red state is actually high on the list when it comes to education. That'd be worth researching that, but I'm pretty sure Texas is not too high on the list.
Yeah, I just wonder how putting the Ten Commandments up in schools helps Texas in any material way.
No, and it's not dealing with any actual problems that we actually deal with. And this is what Republicans keep doing, right? They invent problems and then they look at me, I've got the solution to this imaginary problem. And then that looks like they're busy, looks like they're doing stuff, they're accomplishing things, they're fighting for what the people care about, but obviously they're not, right? The things that people actually are concerned about are not the things they're working on. They're not working on gun violence, they're not working on school shootings, they're not working on improving test scores or any of these, the infant mortality rates, they're not working on any of that stuff. It's always bullshit like this.
Yeah, they are 29th in education, Texas.
29.
So
okay.
Below the middle of the pack.
Below the middle.
They've got an electrical grid that is wildly outdated and deregulated to the point that it constantly is failing whenever there's a cold snap or a hot streak. And guess what? It gets hot in Texas.
Yeah.
From April to basically November, it can be in the 90s every fucking day.
Yeah.
So they might want to be doing things that actually help instead of cutting out all DEI from Texas and putting up the 10 Commandments, which again, there are churches all over the state of Texas.
Yes.
I grew up in a town of 500 people in Blue Ridge, Texas. There were 3 churches.
Oh yeah.
There's probably more now.
How many of them had the 10 Commandments on the wall?
Yeah. I mean,
almost none of them. I don't think I've ever in my life been inside a Christian church that had the 10 Commandments posted somewhere. And yet, even though they're not posting it in their churches, I'll bet you that most of these families, these Christian families that are in favor of this, probably also do not have the 10 Commandments posted in their house, but they want to stick it in the classrooms so that here's the thing. This is really what bothers me the most about this kind of stuff. Because like when you hear this stuff, like my reaction is usually like, hey, look, man, if you as a parent want your kids to read the 10 Commandments or have a Bible study at school during the week or something while they're in school, then either homeschool them yourself or teach them yourself. That's what Sunday school is for on Sunday, right? Take them to church on Sunday. Have them go to Sunday school, or you do it. Do a devotional before you have dinner or breakfast or something, right? You can do that. And then you suddenly realize, oh, you know what, though? Here's what's really going on. Those Christian families, they don't want the Bible studies for their kids. They want them for your kids. It's for all those pagan kids, all those kids that don't know the Lord yet, right? So really it is. It's bottom line, it's proselytizing. Because they're not doing this. They know their kids have probably memorized the 10 Commandments, right? In vacation Bible school. Their kids know the Bible. They do go to church with you all the time. Their kids don't need it. They just think your kids need it. And then that's where it crosses the line. Yeah, it's insane.
And meanwhile, we've got the ostensibly Christian nationalist government of the United States doing everything it can to show the world how anti-Christian or anti-Jesus it actually is by cutting foreign aid. And now the Republicans have just put out their budget proposal, which calls for $4.5 trillion in tax cuts to social safety nets, but another increase of $100 billion for the defense budget and increasing the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. So why would you need to increase the debt ceiling by $4 trillion? Oh, because we're cutting taxes by $4.5 trillion.
Yeah. Doesn't it also cut Medicaid? Doesn't it cut Medicaid?
Cut Medicaid and SNAP benefits.
Yeah.
What else did I see on there? Cut social programs, but increase defense spending by $100 billion. That would take it to almost $985 billion.
Yeah.
Almost $1 trillion on defense, people.
Yeah.
Talk about Antichrist. and then a 90 billion additional for Homeland Security. And they want to add work requirements to Medicaid. Some of the people on Medicaid can't work.
Yes. Yeah. My
Because
mom.
their disability.
Yes, exactly. Well, my mom's on Medicaid and she's like almost 80. So now she has to go get a job. Like she's going to be working at Subway or something, making your sandwich. I don't understand. What's going on?
That's the kind of things that Republicans are doing so that they can cut taxes for the people who don't need a tax cut.
Right. Yeah.
They don't need it. Exactly. I mean, right. Elon Musk just got another $400 million contract from the United States government for armored Tesla. So some kind of armored,
an armored refrigerator that doesn't work. That will get wet when it gets in water. It'll stop working. Yeah, like these things are pieces of crap. They said there was a study about the Tesla truck, Cybertruck, right? That said that it actually had more. It catches on fire and has killed more people than remember the Pinto, the Ford Pinto.
Yeah.
For a while, there was such a joke that the Pinto you just hit it the wrong way and it'd explode, right?
Right.
Like the Cybertruck has had more incidents of catching fire and killing people than the Ford Pinto did. And now we're going to armor these things out and give them to our soldiers in a combat situation? Dude, not me. I wouldn't want to be stuck in one of those things. You're just going to you're going to die.
The people who are like, why would a tax-paying American be so anti what Doge is doing, cutting out the fraud, waste, and abuse? And I'm like, because that's not what's happening.
That's not what they're doing.
It's a boondoggle to make the world's richest man even richer and give him more access to things that he shouldn't have any access to at all.
Right.
And deregulation and all that. I watched a video one time of a guy with a Cybertruck in a garage, right? Like a mechanic's garage. And he just started pulling the damn thing apart. He was like, watch this. And he just started pulling shit off of it.
Yeah.
With his hands.
Yes.
And he's like, these things are garbage.
They're made very poorly. Yes.
And they cost like $300,000. And it looks like something I used to draw when I was 7.
Right. Yeah. Every time I see these things on the road, I just roll my eyes. It's just like, oh my gosh.
I laugh.
Yeah.
I just laugh and laugh. I try not to point and laugh.
Everybody, everybody, look at me. I'm spending like $500,000 to drive something that looks like a dumpster on wheels or something. I mean, think about it. You could buy a Ferrari or something. Come on. Why are you wasting your money on something stupid like it's not even a truck? It doesn't work as a truck. The bed isn't long enough for you to carry anything in the back. So you couldn't put your couch in there. You couldn't help your friend move. It's not a truck. It's a 2-seater car that costs way too much money. A very large, bulky,
very
ugly,
weirdly shaped piece of crap that now Musk is going to get $400 million to build for something in the government. I don't know exactly what their intended use is going to be. It'll probably be one of those things that they build a bunch of them and then they go to a giant lot in the desert where they never get used.
They just sit there. Yeah. And that happens a lot, by the way. There's a whole lot of things that the Pentagon has said they don't even want, but Congress will vote, for like, oh, we're going to build this and we're going to build that. And these companies get the contracts for billions of dollars. They make these tanks or these jets or whatever it is, right? And the Pentagon's like, well, we don't have anywhere to put them. We don't need them. And they'll just stick them in a lot somewhere. They literally are just sitting there gathering dust. Yeah. I guess if you're lucky, you can sell them to another country, right? You can say, oh, we're going to sell weapons to some other country and we'll let them have these things because we're not using them.
Yeah. Well, some congressmen will say, well, those jobs are needed. My district needs those jobs.
Yeah.
There was an episode of Beep where they satirized this very thing.
Yeah.
Where Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, I can't remember her name on the show. But,
I don't remember.
She's talking to some congressman from Ohio, and they're like, "We don't need these stupid things." And then he goes right out to the news and is like, we absolutely need these jobs in my district.
That's right. That's right. Privately, it's like, we don't need this crap. Yeah. But publicly,
well,
we need the jobs.
well, and speaking of crap that we don't need,
Yes.
but we're going to get anyway because the fundamentalist fuckwittery doesn't stop this week, unfortunately.
Okay.
But Matt,
Yeah.
if you want to bring up my handy dandy little graphic there we go. So this week, the fundamentalist fuckwittery is brought to you by Christian nationalist worship pastor Sean Foyt. And I have heard a lot about Sean Foyt because of multiple NAR webinars that I've been able to attend with scholars of the New Apostolic Reformation. So he is heavily involved with the New Apostolic Reformation. And for new listeners, that's a dominionist mindset that says that they need to take over the 7 mountains of all culture, including the government, education, entertainment, and the whole kit and caboodle. What's interesting about that is there's nothing in the Bible that says that should be a thing.
Yeah.
But Sean Foyt is a Christian nationalist, dominionist, musical artist, and he was part of the NAR Blitz during the election. He was doing the 50 state capitals, Let Us Worship tour. He went around defying COVID orders because, trying to prevent people from getting a deadly disease is apparently totalitarianism to these folks. And I guess he forgot that Jesus said, wherever 2 or more gathered in my name. You don't need a mega church to have worship. You could have it with your kids in your living room if you want. But no,
yes,
I think this dude's pretty narcissistic. And I watched a video today of him talking about the tariffs. And he introduced the video by saying, look, I've owned businesses. I've sold houses. I took economics classes. I know markets. These tariffs are an American tradition. George Washington signed the first Tariff Act. It was like the second thing that he signed. Yeah, my man. That was at a time when the United States was reeling from a war with a foreign power, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, and they were trying to build an economy basically from the ground up.
Yeah.
And so they put a tariff on things being imported in so that local businesses could do something. Our situation is vastly, vastly different than the isolationist days of the post-revolutionary period. But what he didn't say is that, and he kept talking about how Trump said, this is what I'm going to do. And America voted for this. Well, economists and historians were like, if he does this, it's going to tank the economy. It's going to tank the economy.
Yes.
But Mr. Foyt is nothing if not a sycophant for Trump, which makes no sense to anybody who actually pays attention to the words in red or a lot of the authentic words of Paul, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
He then claimed in this video that there's enough fentanyl coming from Canada to kill 10 million people.
Bullshit.
Well, I took literally 15 seconds to find out how much fentanyl is coming from Canada.
Yeah.
Less than 1% of all fentanyl seized is seized at the Canadian border. In fact, it's 0.2%. So he's lying for Trump to make the case that Trump is being used by God to unveil things and all of this other stuff, and that it might be harmful and painful for a little bit, but he's okay with that. He's willing to pay a little bit more for eggs. Well, why is this clown more than willing to pay for eggs? Because he's got a parsonage in DC worth $900,000. He's got a parsonage in California worth $3.45 million, and then he has 7 other houses in Pennsylvania, because there's a lot of NAR shit happening in Pennsylvania. So, giant grifter alert from Mr. Foyt.
Yeah.
He and then he says it's not compassionate to fund evil and that he doesn't want his tax dollars going to transgender parades in Toronto. My dude, that's a thing that's never fucking happened. The U.S.
Exactly.
taxpayer has never paid
Right.
for a transgender parade in Toronto because Toronto is in Canada.
Canada. Yes.
And
That's
tariffs don't have anything to do with pride parades or trans pride parades or anything like that.
oh my
He
gosh.
says that he wants to live in a nation where justice and righteousness prevail.
Me
Well, then,
too.
my friend, go arrest your buddy
Yeah.
Trump, who is 34 felonies, but is not going to be held accountable. Multiple sexual assaults and rapes not being held accountable. And
Yeah.
oh, by the way, he's cushy with Mike Bickle from the International House of Prayer in Kansas City. Why
Yeah.
is that relevant? Because Mike Bickle is apparently a predator.
Yes. That's right.
And a lot of those megachurch people are predatory in some way or another, but Bickle's, just Google Mike Bickle
Yeah.
scandal and you'll learn more than you want to know.
Yeah. It's about a year or so ago. Yeah, he got exposed. And I have a good friend who had been a part of that prayer or that ministry worship school or something that they had. Yeah, and he had some stories to tell. It was a nightmare.
I bet. So the video clip that we're going to see here in just a second is Sean Foyt on Newsmax. And he is, I just want you to listen to the words he says. But before that, I want to remind you that he's saying this about a woman who literally preached mercy, honesty, and compassion, and happened to be speaking specifically to President Trump. Blessed are the merciful is something that Jesus said.
Mm-hmm.
You will find compassion and the injunction to be compassionate throughout the New Testament.
Yeah.
You will find injunctions about lying and being honest all up in the Bible everywhere.
Yep.
So keep that in mind when you hear what this clown has to say. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Livid when I saw this, especially the fact that she threw out there LGBT children. There are no LGBT children. There are parents that are confused and want to throw that on their kids. You were there. What was going through your mind?
It was a service of demonic, perversion, and it was set up to take shots at the president. I was actually sitting probably 6 or 7 rows behind the president, right next to the cabinet, and we were just all horrified. I mean, we were horrified that this was taking place. A lot of people are asking me, why did he even go? Was it a setup? This has been a tradition that's been around since the 30s for the president to go to this specific church the day after the inauguration. All presidents have done it since FDR. However, there has never been a woke, LGBTQ mafia bishop woman that has been over this, that was waiting for her moment to try to destroy a beautiful inauguration weekend of unity and hope and expectation. And, it was purposely done by her. And, in the room, we were just like, this is a national embarrassment. But I want to tell you the good news about it. The enemy always.
So, first of all, I don't know the name of the pundit who is sitting there with Sean Foyt, but newsflash, there are LGBTQ plus kids, and there always have been.
That's right. And there always will be. That's right.
Yeah. That's not a choice that you make. I didn't wake up at 12 and go, oh, I think I'm straight. I think I'll be straight today. That's not how it works.
And look, any parent, even parents who are is hardcore conservative evangelical, fans of Sean Foyt, who would go to his concerts and buy his albums and be excited about Sean and everything he's doing. There's a lot of those parents whose children came to them and said, Mom, Dad, I'm gay. And those parents know that what he just said is bullshit, because it's not like, oh, I'm confused. The parent's confused. Oh, my child isn't gay. I'm confused. What are you talking about? They would disagree with you. They would say, no, it's not me that's confused. My child is telling me that they're gay. So,
Yeah, parents don't just wake up and go, you know what? I think I want to put some gayness on my kid
yeah, I think
because that'll make
my
it
daughter
so
should
much.
be a son, or my son should be a daughter, or
Yeah,
I
it'll
think
make it
my
so
son
much
should be
easier
gay.
for my kid.
Yeah, it's so
It,
much. They'll be so popular in school. It'll be great.
ah,
Ugh,
it,
so stupid.
that's absurd. But then you saw that Foyt said it was
Demonic.
demonic and perversion for Bishop Buddy to use the words of Jesus,
Yes.
to literally use the words of Jesus.
Yeah. And all she asked for, again, he says he was there in the room. Like, I don't know what's going on then because I saw the same thing and I listened to what
Yeah, I
she
watched the
said.
whole sermon.
Yeah. And in the most gentle, kind, soft-spoken way, simply asked the president to show mercy and kindness. What's demonic about that? How is that like, ruining this beautiful inauguration weekend you were enjoying? Like,
Yeah.
everything was going along great until this bishop quoted Jesus and asked the president to please show mercy and to people that are suffering in America. How are you offended by that? What the hell?
And when was it that Trump was promoting unity?
Oh yeah.
I must have missed that particular speech because all I've ever seen him do is promote division, hatred, xenophobia, and wealth production.
Yeah.
To take care of the wealthy. I have never seen him do anything that looks like promoting unity. You don't promote unity by signing executive orders on the first day, saying that you're going to start rounding up people, even though they're here legally.
That's right.
They are literally taking people who have documentation, who are here as asylum seekers. They've been through the process.
They've done it the right way, which everybody says.
They've
I don't
done
care
it
if they're
exactly.
here.
They've done it the
I just
right
want them
way.
to come the right way. These people have come the right way, and you're still going to deport them.
Yeah, and they're being arrested and rounded up. And just this week, there was a raid of a restaurant where they didn't show any identification.
Yeah.
And they just went in and started taking people without any badges or warrants or anything.
Yeah, and that's the thing they're saying, like that. They're trying to educate people, like if you don't see a badge, you have the right to ask them their name. You have to ask them who their commanding officer is. That you definitely need to see a warrant. And here's the thing: sometimes they'll have a warrant, but it isn't signed by a judge. It has to be a signed warrant. If they knock on your door, you don't open the door. But you have the right. You have all these same rights, right? You have the right to remain silent. You have the right not to answer their questions. You have the right to have an attorney. All those things. But they're just using fear tactics to walk in, a bunch of people to kick the door down and start rounding people up, and people don't know that they have rights.
Well, Sean Foyt apparently hasn't read too much of his Bible, though he does like to do some really, emotional music and all that kind of stuff and make it all about himself. But he's a dominionist. And if you read Matthew, read it from the first chapter all the way through the end, you will see a theme that divine power does not rest with those who are using domination and violence. That's a theme in Matthew.
Yeah.
The last shall be first. The first shall be last.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be washing your feet, man.
Yeah. That's right.
That kind of thing. So
that's right.
For all of those reasons, Sean Foyt is this week's representative of fundamentalist fuckwittery. And I don't know how he missed all of the parts of the Bible that talk about wealth. And I don't think Jesus had 9 houses worth millions.
He said he had nowhere to lay his head. So
Right. Yeah. He had no place to lay his head, and he was ostensibly the Messiah. So, Sean, you're doing it wrong, man. And I hope the scales fall from your eyes one of these days. But that would be a miracle. I didn't listen to any of his music because
No, I've never listened to any of his stuff.
I saw a snippet and I was like, nope, can't do it. Felt cringy all over. just couldn't do
Didn't
it.
he,
Could not do
if
it.
I'm remembering correctly, during the George Floyd protests in Cincinnati, didn't he show up with a worship band and like he was leading worship like across the street from where people were protesting George Floyd murder?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised because in the
He does
video
that
that I
kind of thing.
watched, he started praising the fact that Trump is gonna start targeting South Africans, the South African government, because Elon Musk told him that white people are being discriminated against in South Africa.
Yes.
So he's standing up for the racist white supremacist in South Africa,
Yeah.
is Mr. Foyt, by making that comment.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to read a book about South African history and apartheid, and maybe
Yeah.
look up who Stephen Biko was,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
That's
Because if you're siding with Elon Musk, who is
his parents basically
outrageously
were
racist,
Yeah, didn't we see? I saw something where it was an interview. Someone knew his parents, Elon Musk's parents, was talking about that they basically, was it his parents or his grandparents? Anyway, they basically, I think they had fled Germany because of their beliefs.
yeah.
And it's like those beliefs, which don't get spelled out, but if you do the research, yeah, they were Nazis.
Well, I saw somebody screenshotted a book, passage from a book, and Werner von Braun, the Nazi rocket scientist, was talking about going to Mars and setting up a colony on Mars. And on that colony, they would be led by the Elon. The leader would be called the Elon. And so Elon Musk's father named him Elon based on that. So
and now Musk is trying to take us to Mars.
Musk got his name from a Nazi.
So he believes. Oh my gosh, Dillon, this is amazing. I gotta find this. So then that basically explains now. This is why Elon Musk is the one saying we need to go to Mars, because he kind of believes this is his mantle, right? His calling, his destiny, because of his name. He's going to be the one to build the Nazi colony on Mars. The dream of Werner von Braun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there, I mean, that's what I saw reported. I had not taken the time to verify what that book was or whatever, but I did read the screenshot. It looked like a legitimate book, and it was highlighted where it said the Elon and all that stuff.
Yeah, I have to look that up.
But
that's crazy.
If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And if it walks and talks like a fucking fascist, then it's a fascist. And Elon Musk does that real well.
Yeah, especially if it gives a Roman salute like
salute.
A Roman salute that looks a hell of a lot like a Sieg Heil, then it might be a Sieg Heil. And that's exactly what it was. I'm sorry.
Well, I saw a video clip of a side-by-side video of Hitler doing it and Musk doing it. And guess what? They looked exactly the fucking same.
Yes.
So,
yes. Of course,
miss me with the Roman salute nonsense.
Yeah, it's absolute bullshit.
So hopefully, if he keeps violating the court orders and the temporary restraining orders and the hey, you can't do that, checks and balances, I hope somebody issues a bench warrant or something and go arrest this man. It does not matter that he's got more money than God. Yeah. He's not above the law.
But this is what scares me. What really concerns me about what's happening right now, right? So there's been several judges who have defied Trump, who have ordered him, to stop doing this or stop doing that, like restore the websites of these health organizations, these nonprofits or federal organizations, to restore the funding, all these kind of things. And then Trump just ignores them. And then like you said, let's say they were to issue a bench warrant for Elon Musk for breaking the law, doing things that are beyond his scope, that he's not elected. He doesn't have the authority to do these things. He's doing things that Congress has the authority to do, but he's not a congressman. He's not been elected to any congressional committee or anything like that. So if someone did issue a bench warrant, number one, if you think about it, like when you see all this illegal activity going on by Donald Trump, by Elon Musk, ideally, the person who would see that illegal activity and issue bench warrants or charges would be the attorney general. Because the attorney general is supposed to be someone who doesn't work for the president, but works for the American people, that has signed or has sworn an allegiance to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Unfortunately, the attorney general we have now is literally Trump's personal attorney. Okay.
Right.
Right.
Which,
So that's
yeah.
number one. Number two, so is it likely that she's going to issue any kind of warrants for the arrest of Trump or Musk? No, she's going to ignore that and wave it off. Somehow, if somebody somewhere did find a way to press charges, I don't know who could do that, but let's say they did it, you ideally would want the FBI to be the ones to go and arrest these people. Well, guess what? Very soon, the FBI is going to be controlled by someone like Kash Patel, who is a yes man for Trump, who will not go arrest anybody. He's not going to arrest Musk. They're going to arrest Trump, right? They're too busy trying to shut down the FBI. So it's sort of like, normally, quote unquote, normally in these kind of situations, what we would depend on for checks and balances, it's being eroded. Now, I'm very encouraged to see that there are some judges. The irony is many of these judges were appointed by Republicans, right? I know one of the judges that spoke up is a judge that was appointed by George W. Bush, and he's a Republican appointed judge, and he's saying that what Trump is doing is illegal. Now, others are saying that he should be charged with treason and stuff like this, for doing his job, for defending the Constitution.
Right.
But there was a really great article, I think it was from Slate magazine, online magazine, and I posted it on Facebook. It's something like how to know when we're really in a presidential dictatorship. I think that was the title of it. And it was essentially that, yes, we see all these things happening. Those things don't necessarily mean that we're in a full-on dictatorship. That what will, and this is sort of the next step, we're very close, because the very next step would be if the president defies the judge's orders that this is illegal, and then basically no one does anything about it. Now that's how you know, because now that's the end of it. Like if he can just ignore, and the truth is he kind of can just ignore it. Like they said in the past, what has been the motivator for presidents and their administrations when they have done things, and Biden has done it, they've all done it, right? Obama did it, everyone's done it. Well, they'll have an executive order, and at some point someone will say, you know what, that's unconstitutional and you can't do that, right? Okay, then you just comply. And the thing is that the system depends upon that person when they're told by the court that you have defied the Constitution and it's illegal, for them to say, oh, oops, sorry, my bad, and they back off.
Right.
But with Trump, if he decides not to, and he decides to ignore that, like, well, what can the court do? Well, the court can hold them in contempt. And then what does that mean? Well, that can either mean that they issue an arrest warrant. But again, now what agency is going to go and issue that arrest? Who's going to actually put handcuffs on Donald Trump? He's the president, right? Of course they're not. Or on Elon Musk. I doubt that that's going to happen, right? Even if it happened, right? What could Trump do? Just pardon him. Just stroke of a pen, Elon Musk is pardoned, and now we're back to where we are. So we are pretty close to that. Like, we need to pay very close attention to what happens in the next few weeks to these judges that are saying that what Trump and Musk are doing is illegal, and see how they react and see how they respond. My guess, though, is that they're not going to. Trump's whole thing has just basically been, I'm going to keep going until you stop me. And I think that physically means you're going to have to take the pen out of his hand and lock him out of the Oval Office to stop him. I don't think he's going to stop any other way.
Well, I did read an article today where Josh Hawley, of all people, said you can't violate these judges' orders. That's not what we're all about. And I was like, holy crap, Josh Hawley, a blind squirrel found an acorn. What the hell? I was going to say,
that guy found some justice or mercy and in his heart somehow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And he said something about, when a president did that before and it ended up in the Trail of Tears, and that was wrong. And he was talking about Andrew Jackson.
Wow.
But then there's been other Republicans lately, the guy from Kansas, Katie Britt from Alabama, that
Yeah.
crazy looking Stepford wife lady.
Yeah, the one, she's the one, by the way, if you don't remember, she's the one that did the response to Biden's State of the Union address where she was in her kitchen and she was talking all breathlessly. That's the one.
Yeah, that one. She and the governor of Louisiana have been pushing back on cuts to the National Institute of Health because of Alabama's biggest employer is the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and they get a lot of that money. So there are Republicans, even Rand Paul is saying these tariffs are a bad idea. Mitch McConnell finally grew something that resembles the spine. So hopefully more and more Republicans are going to be just like, this is beyond the pale. This is beyond the pale. We cannot do this. This Project 2025 nonsense has to stop.
Yeah.
And again, this is all Russ Vought, the guy who's now in charge of the Office of Management and Budget. He's behind a lot of these executive orders, and he wants to install a Christo-fascist dictatorship. That is his goal. He has on record as saying, I want a post-constitutional America. So that's what we're up against. So I'm hoping that Republicans grow a spine, that civil servants keep showing up to work, even though they're told they can't, that judges and the judiciary holds, and that SCOTUS is like, we're not going to bat for this.
I hope.
Because who needs Congress and a Senate if you've got a dictatorship?
That's exactly right. They're just figureheads. That's right.
You know, you're losing your own job. Well, that's all pretty bleak.
Yeah,
Keith.
Sorry. Real quick though, while I just did look it up. There's this is true. Dr. Werner von Braun wrote a book called Project Mars, and and you're right. It was about going to Mars, and the leaders. It was actually a council of leaders. There were 10 males, and that council was called the Elon. And Elon Musk's father said that he was very aware of that book and of the Elon thing when he named Elon. So he named Elon
there you
after
go.
that. So that's true. Crazy.
So the apartheid-loving South African white supremacist was named after a Nazi concept. Shocking.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
wow. Big surprise. Yeah. So we should get to some. I have some good news. I think. Are we ready for the good news?
Please bring us some good news, Keith.
Okay. I have two. Well, I'll make them quick. So, producer, pull up my first good news there. Speaking of Josh Hawley, who seems to have suddenly, did he hit it? Maybe he hit his head or something in the shower and suddenly knocked some sense in him. He woke up and said, what the hell am I been doing? Where am I? Who am I? I don't know what happened to this guy, but apparently Senator Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley worked together to come up with something to cap credit card interest rates at 10%. And by the way, this, if you're watching the video, you can see this graphic is screen cap from Fox News. Headline: Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley together have worked together to do something good for the American people that actually helps the American people by capping credit card debt at 10%. Oh my gosh. I responded to this. I saw this on Instagram. My response was, knowing that Bernie Sanders can work with someone like Josh Hawley to pass legislation that actually helps the American people gives me hope in this very confusing and dark time that we're living in right now. Now, again, they just introduced the bill. It hasn't passed yet, but you know what? It really should, because as Bernie Sanders noted when he posted it on his Instagram feed about this, he said that the reason why this was easy to do was that Donald Trump campaigned and said that he wanted to do this. He promised that he was going to cap interest rates for working Americans. So really, Republicans should not have a problem voting in favor of this bill. So that's some good news. It's good news that they work together, that someone like Josh Hawley, I'm going to start paying attention to this guy now. I don't know what's going on with him. He suddenly has a conscience. And yeah, that he and Bernie Sanders are working together on this is pretty crazy.
I mean, that's pretty big, because some of these credit cards
Oh,
are 25 and 30%,
yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
and you
That's
can't
right.
get out from under that.
No, no, it just compounds. Yeah. Every month after month after month. Yeah. If all you do is
Yeah.
pay the minimum, like $20 a month fee, then every month it's going up and up and up. Yeah. It'll double in a couple of months. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
So that's great news, everybody. And then that's positive good news. This second good news is good news, but in a different way. So I'm going to pull up that second slide. This is good news, but I need to explain it a little bit. If you haven't seen this, the headline is a Cuban MAGA activist named Hector Luis Valdez Cocho, Cocho, has been arrested by ICE and could be sent to Guantanamo Bay. So understand, this guy, all during the election, is full on MAGA. He's going to the rallies. He's campaigning for Trump. He's a full on MAGA activist. And he just got arrested by ICE. And he could end up on a plane and end up spending the rest of his life in Guantanamo. And I'm sure that he told himself what many people did who were Hispanic or people of color that were rah-rah Trump during the election. And I saw many of these people. One of them was a state senator in Florida who's also Cuban, who, again, their belief was, oh no, Trump only is going to, deport illegal immigrants or people that have committed crimes, right? That's what he's going to do. He won't deport my people. He won't deport me. And surprise, actually, no, it doesn't matter that you're wearing a MAGA hat. Doesn't matter that you got all the MAGA t-shirts. Doesn't matter that you bought the MAGA shoes. Doesn't matter any of that. He doesn't care about any of that. What he cares about is your skin is the wrong color. You have the wrong race, and they want you out of this country. So the reason why I picked this as good news is that this is one example of many of people, again, who stood up for Trump, voted for Trump, campaigned for Trump, because they thought that what he was going to do was going to hurt someone else.
Yep.
And now what they're realizing is, oh shit, yeah, it's coming back to me now. It's unfortunately this, FAFO, fuck around and find out. They fucked around. Sadly, they're finding out, well, along with the rest of us, who Trump is and who we've been saying he was all along. I'm hoping that the more these kind of things make it in the news, that people are going to start on their own. Like, you don't have to wait until it's actually knocking on your door. That you really will start looking around and saying, what have I done? What is going on? Because that's honestly what we need. We need a lot of Republican, MAGA supporters to kind of wake up and say, oops, you know what I mean? Like I did see something where they were interviewing like 4 different farmers who had voted for Trump. And they said, who did you vote for, Donald Trump? And then they said, would you vote for him again? They said, no. And they said,
Right.
why? Well, because, right, they just cut aid and funding that hurts farmers, right? This USAID stuff. These farmers are getting paid to grow rice and beans to send to people that are starving in Africa and other countries. And by killing that funding, you've also hurt American farmers. And this kind of thing's just going to keep happening. I'm hoping that people wake up sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Well, and again, the election was only 3 months ago.
I know.
Now, some of us have been on the anti-Trump, Trump is a fascist train since about 2015 when he started talking about, they're not sending their best people, they're sending the rapist, and he mocked a disabled reporter, and the Access Hollywood tapes came out, and all of those things. But if there is a massive move of MAGA U-turns, then I hope that those people are making these MAGA U-turns suddenly become political activists and start calling their Congress people and their senators and going, you better do something about this shit.
That's exactly right.
Do something about this.
That's what they have to do. Yeah.
Your job is on the line right now.
That's exactly right. Their life, human, American lives are on the line. Yes, but those Republican congressmen and senators need to be told by Republicans that voted for them. I voted for you. I voted for Trump and I didn't vote for this. And you either fix this or you're out.
Right. And a lot of those people have already proven that they're capable of violence.
Yeah.
And if they don't start getting the answers that they need to hear because their families are getting sick, or, you know, they've lost their jobs, or whatever, who knows? And
right.
and as a pacifist, that terrifies me.
Oh,
right?
But I wouldn't want to see that, but you're right. That's the people that get the most emotional about this kind of stuff are also the ones that have the most guns and tend to see the violence as the solution when they get frustrated.
Yeah. Well, that's going to lead us to the word on the street tonight, and the word on the street is going to be for MAGA land and Sean Foyt, particularly, since he's got 9 houses worth millions and millions of dollars and no telling how much money in the bank. This comes from the Sermon on the Mount, which is found in Matthew chapters 5 through 7. This is chapter 6, 19 through 24. Friendly reminders to Christian nationalists and Sean Foyt and Paula White Cain. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust consume and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The eye is the lamp of the body, so if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light is in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? No one can serve 2 masters, for a slave will either hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth.
Yeah.
And that is what the MAGA movement is trying to do, serve wealth, by the wealthy, for the wealthy. So,
yeah, the word of the Lord. Amen.
The word of the Lord. Amen. That is our show tonight. I want to thank Keith Giles for pinch hitting for December tonight and bringing his unique perspective to the show. Thank you to our listeners. Please like, subscribe, and share. Our voices are important. Every voice that can be added to build a cacophony of vocal resistance against this nonsense is imperative. So share it with your friends. Check out the books online, the podcast, the what do you call it, blogs, etc. Because we've all got them. And thank you very much.
Yeah,
Keith,
thanks everybody.
Last words?
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. It's been a lot of fun. I missed everybody. Miss you guys. And good to see everybody watching the show and giving the comments and everything. I might be back, I guess, next Thursday as well. So we'll see you again at least one more week.
All right.
Hang in there, everybody.
Good night.